Well, hello and welcome to everyone, friends, subscribers, acquaintances, visitors. This is Jurgita and welcome to my crafty world where majority of it is just the different types of embroidery. So I hope you'll enjoy watching this February or 2026 vlog. And I'm starting this as always in the past several years. Beginning, I always try to work on my oldest whip now, which is a chatelaine. And it's called Baltic Sea Mandala or Aussie. And this is on my Omanic frame rolled up all the way, almost all the way to the bottom. There is a tiny bit that will be too short, I think. So this I have so far is like 60.6% done. And right now I'm gonna be working somewhere in this bottom. I'll continue until all like regular cross stitch and petite stitches are done. Then also we'll be doing then all those specialty stitches that are needed, and when everything is done finally, then perhaps next year will be my beading adventures in this. I'm using all called for threads, including rainbow galleries and all the silks, and it's going to be sparkle, as you can see in some of the parts. It's going to be over-dyed silk threads, specialty threads, like you see some in building and borders. And like this is over-dyed thread, one color that changes so much. So I'll continue. There's of course going to be back stitching, like you see all the grass in here. So just gonna be working, especially since framing is about the same on both sides, so I can just continue with the same thread color, just going in the same symbol. I don't know where I'm gonna stitch, but there is a minimum of days or amount of stitches that I want to do, and I'm gonna try to stick to that again, since I made my own deadline, hopefully to finish, because I've started this many years ago and I really want to continue and finish. This is my first chatelaine and I just went for the big one. So let's start, I guess, and we'll see how it looks after some days of stitching. And here we are, and I hope you can tell what areas I've been working on. And actually, I did work on this piece for a whole 6 days, some days less, some more, because I had like a terrible sinus headache. I was like fighting sleep at 8 p.m. So not much stitching were done for several days like this. But when I finally was able to, I was just trying to go as much as possible. And that includes like working in this area already, like closer to the top and going down. And of course here, like in the grass, there's only like a couple colors done, and the frame was separate. So once I finished like a framing area, then it was easier to fill in with those few colors. And I was filling in a little bit more on the outside frame, and you can actually see the building. Of course, it's going to be upside down because it's pointing down, but you can see some of like a window areas in here already. So just been trying to like a mirror two sides as much as possible, and I think I did a good chunk. Sadly, since I was using like Cross Stitch Saga, which I don't know if it's still like a Russian program that's like a pattern keeper, but even better, because you can mark all the specialty stitches there and the back stitching. And I was using that, and my tablet suddenly just started freak out. And after a while, when I was able to just turn off and on my tablet, the Saga was gone, like not showing any apps. And of course, like a Google App Store, because I don't have iPhones. Google App Store does not have them too. And I had all my like before majority of this was stitched, I had all my progress marked in there, so everything was marked. And then for a long time I couldn't see. I couldn't. It does not have a connection with like a Dropbox where I would be able to like. If some pattern disappears in the Saga, you can load up a latest saving point from a Dropbox, and it was not talking to Dropbox. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to now kind of figure out, especially because I'm playing in a Facebook stitchy game, and you have to count the stitches. So I knew approximately like within like 80 stitches how much I've done at that point, and after that I just continued. But after a while the Saga came back, but Chatelaine, it was all like jumbled up. All the patterns were like mixed up, not in the same row I had. And this piece actually had everything erased, all my progress, so it's like starting from zero. So I can't tell you how much I have right now, because it really helped me like stitch wise to count when I have a deadline, self-made deadline for next year, or what the percentage would be. Is just a little bit more than the previous month, I guess, since 1% takes like forever to make. And since I have it back now, I'm gonna have to just go back and mark everything that has been stitched, because what I have here majority is marked this time, but all the previous ones, like where I was stitching some in here and all above, I'll have to retouch it, remark it, to see what percentage wise I have and how many approximately stitches I have left. Since I kind of like to see statistics, it empowers me. Like if I know, for example, it's 12,000 stitches left and I have 1 year, so I can do, minimum 1,000 a month and I would finish. But we'll see how it goes. So I might be able to tell you way later on in the month. And so far it's just been going with the bigger amount of stitches in this part. Yep, and we'll see where we stand in the next month, in the March. But so far, 2 months with good amount of stitches done, and I'm very happy with that. So we're gonna say until the next time to this chatelaine piece, and we'll figure out where we're gonna go next and where we're gonna stitch next in the next month for this. And I've decided it's a second month, so I need to get a new part done in 12 days by hands-on design. And as you can see, first one was done, and it was done in January. So I'm planning to go each month until the very end, and then we'll see if I want to continue do the last 12 part in December or in November. So anyway, I needed something small to go to my stitch group meet, and I thought this would be a great little piece to take. It doesn't take a lot of room to carry, like instead of bigger frames. So I grabbed, and as you can see, I'm stitching on a blue fabric versus a red one. So the colors are slightly different looking. So number 2 would be this, 2 turtle doves. And I stitched it, then came back home and continued stitching in the late evening, and I'm all done. So if we want to compare side by side, I'm using all the suggested threads. Of course, like all the over dye threads, sometimes they differ from batch to batch slightly, but this is what it looks like. And let me show you a bit closer. It took me 1 day, and if I calculated correctly, with the back stitch, I got about 714 total stitches. I did a tiny small mistake. I added one extra space, so I hope you can't tell what it is. And it was not a lot of back stitching, just with one thread, like one color to do like with the two threads in here, and then with one thread I had to just outline the letters. And the birds, the doves, don't have any eyes. I might add something later to it, don't know, with the stitch, or maybe with a tiny like a number 15 bead perhaps. But this is what it looks like. So there's like a little ornament or this thing like a branchy thing hanging down in here, and this is what I got as a result. Versus, let's see if we do a little bit up close, so you can see the white stands out more on the red, but like I said, sometimes over dyed threads differ between themselves. And that's my start and finish in one day. So I have two parts done, and I'll continue. I'm not gonna cut it yet because it's easier for me to use the hoop versus if it would be cut off, then I would worry that it's not enough space to hold it in, but so far it's good. So second one is done in the collection, and I'll be continuing, but so far I'm loving it. Maybe sometime in the future I would do it also in the red, but right now my Christmas theme is more in the whites and the blues versus reds. So this is Dove by Hands On Design, and that's the finish. And I was looking what to stitch next on, and I pulled this one out. It's by Lanarte Culture Series. Collection called Asian Couple. So as you can see, boy's eyes are not there, so you can kind of imagine his eyes, what it would look like. And I started that around Valentine's Day in 2022. And so far I have stitched just over 26%. So quarter is done, and I have still almost 46,000 stitches left. I'm stitching it on included fabric, which is, as you can see, like a printed fabric. At least the forefront, back side is normal plain color. Still keeping all the organizers. There's 3 of them as they are, keeping just made little braids to hold them in. And some of them I haven't used yet because mainly in the top portion, sides were kind of same color grouping, I guess I should say, similar a little bit to what the background print is, with those like light orangey colors. And let's see what my starting point is going to be this year. So as you can see, I kind of slightly covered the guy, and his face with the neck is all stitched up, and the girl's hair with the decorations is also stitched up. It's just going to be a few beads later on I'll put in at the very end. And I started her skin a tiny bit. It's almost a full coverage. It would be just a couple like a spots like a here left out, and in like this corner from what I remember. So it's like a background of us also stitched with 2 threads and 1 thread. All is full excess. I don't know if there's any like a back stitching involved in here. It's been a while since I stitched it. So I don't know where I'm going to continue. As you can see, her face should not have a lot of coloring changes, except like maybe in eyes and like a earring and the lips, but all those decorations. So I'm just going to be stitching, I think, anywhere in this area. So we'll see where it's going to be at the end. But I kind of really missed them. It's just the feeling that they give out from this kind of calm and such beautiful outfits too. So we'll see how that's gonna look like. But this is what I'm gonna be starting working now, and I'll come back to you probably in a second to show you what it's gonna be looking from this into that other look. Perhaps you heard that Karen water lilies from March 1st will go in price by like practically $3. So I saw that 123 Stitch had some special price going on sale. So I looked at all my like specialty stitching projects in the future that I'm hoping to do, chatelaines and other ones. And these are all the silk water lilies that I just received. And of course, one of the treasure braids, I guess all the sparkles that I have listed in my wish list. Once something pops in, I try to grab it if it's possible. But here are all those beautiful over-dyed water lilies colors. I mean, look at that. Such a beautiful, like this one looks like in the slightly in the purple color, and some of them are way more over dyed, but they're very pretty. Just sad that the price needs to go up so much. I would imagine that it's partially due to tariffs, but these are just such a beautiful colors. Look at this. I can't remember what this one is for, but I'm sure it's gonna look amazing. And I'm gonna stop on this piece, and it will probably forever be included with sad thoughts that my big shadow that was with me like 20, practically 4 hours a day. Our dog had to be, we had to make a tough decision very quickly a couple of days ago to be put down. He apparently like last week, a few days before that, he I thought he was like tripping on his tall, fluffy bed here that always near me when he was trying to run past me, and he couldn't get up right away. So I thought it just was that, because just about a year ago, I think, when we were visiting my sister-in-law, when he was jumping out of the car, I think he injured one of his paws. So I thought maybe this time it was something similar, like you hitting a nerve, and sometimes that takes out strength of your leg. So I didn't think anything bad of that. He was laying down like always a lot when I'm not moving around. Every time I get up off the chair, no matter which room in the house, he always followed me. And because we had such a strong cold weather outside and snow and ice, he was not particularly eager to go through that. So he was not eating as much. And went back to the like when my daughter would have to be right by him, he would look for her so she could see him eating. So I thought it's another episode of something like this. But when he was running, like always, chasing a mail truck through the different parts of the house, he collapsed on the stairs, and he apparently, from what I looked up later, had like a general seizure, and he was. It was a hard thing to see, and he made also noise, which he practically never does unless he barks at the delivery trucks or other like dogs walking by. So I decided to take him to like a emergency vet, and they did a blood test, and turns out that he was like getting anemic because he had a big tumor on his spleen, and it was malignant. So the vet said they could operate right now because he would need also blood transfusion very soon. Um, and even if they take it out due to that thing going already in his blood, that maximum she's seen and heard that dogs live, it's about 8 months. Sometimes, like 3 months later, they get that in another part of the body. So she was like not giving any good news, and we thought, that's a big surgery and long recuperation time, and if it would come back again, we don't want him to suffer. So while thinking that maybe he like hit a nerve, on the legs and it caused him pain, it turns out he had something some that bad, and we had to make a tough decision to let him sleep. The hardest part was that he was still thinking, wagging tail when family members came to say goodbye, and having his snacks and thinking, like, let's get out of here. And when they act so normally, it's hard to make that decision. When we had to put to sleep our previous dog some years back, uh, he also had a tumor on his leg that was operated, and he was doing good for a good time. But you could see right before we had to make that decision that that other dog was kind of giving up on life. You can see in their eyes, and they could barely walk. But this one was just, looking around and wagging tails and not jumping, but stuff. But since it would give only a couple months and still suffering through recuperation and all that stuff if he survived the surgery. So that was tough news to give to our son, who is, halfway across the country. And he was the one that picked this dog from a shelter as his dog, but I guess Hunter kind of took me as his alpha, and unless my son would be at home, then he would always be with me. So it's gonna take a while to get used to the quiet again in the house, because every time I get up, I would hear his nails. So, and I was stitching on this piece through that time, and it would forever kind of be a reminder of him laying next to me through that. And I think I don't think we're gonna be ready anytime soon to get another dog adapt, but I'll just be volunteering, I think, at the shelter to give my love to more pets in there versus just one. So it also was kind of distracting me from sad thoughts, and you can hopefully see how much I've done. Her eyes are slightly showing up, like a little bit of the mouth, and you can tell her nose outline. So I've just been working mostly on him here, and a tiny bit like adding in this part once that color showed up in this part. More yellow is going to be showing up later down off the shoulder of the guy, but it's one more time like this much of the stitching, and I probably could finish up this line and roll them up. So that means I'll be stitching her face, finish up a little bit in this like area, and then or both of them will be hiding. I don't know when I'm gonna pull this one out. I started this in for Valentine's Day a few years back, but I did a good chunk. I was not planning to finish this piece this year, and I'll slowly stitch in as a remembrance to our puppy, whom we had about just over 6 years. He was a couple of years plus living, probably, I don't know, with people, or at least the shelter picked him up from the street. So this is gonna be, I guess, my like a memoriam piece to our puppy, like my son called him like a baked potato, because he was so brown and not roundish, but big size, all throughout the body, but short legs. So that's where I'm gonna stop with my Asian couple, and we'll continue put in good thoughts in this piece to remember our puppy. And next I'll be grabbing this Winter Frolic magazine piece. It was on the front cover. And right now I have about 49.9%. So it's almost a tiny, tiny bit below half point. And what's left in this upper part, because that my frame is ending here, is pretty much just outline some of those leaves, like this bird and this wheel, to do some outlining in here, and a little bit more extra few stitches left to do in here, but the majority of this is all done. And after that, I'll finish what I can, and then I'll roll it up to work on the bottom part where the you can see the hairs, the ears leaping in here, and there's going to be some more like a frame just like this to stitch, and some snow covered leaves, and probably I think acorns in there. So halfway point done, and it's on my list to finish this year. So we'll see how much I can do in still wintry month of February. I'm about to start, and I wanted to show you all the goodies I'll be using for this. So I had the fabric that is 28 count lamb's wool Joblin even with fabric, and I got like a half a yard because it was needed a bit more than just a typical quarter. So I got it, and I put it on my Omanic frame. I sewed it up, and all the edges are also protected, so it should not unravel. And the pattern is the kiss. I'll show you then also up close. Famous kiss painting that it has a lot of gold sparkles in it. So I thought that would be appropriate thing to start stitching on Valentine's Day. So happy Valentine's Day to all of you. It does not matter if you have a significant other, but it's also all about the love for yourself. And if you have a pets, it's also important too, especially since we just recently this week lost our beloved dog very suddenly. So I wanted to dedicate some of my love to him towards other shelter animals. But if you have a parents, if you have a friends, love for nature, it's also all included in the word love. So this famous kiss by Klimt, it has very interesting things, and I chose the pattern. There's all kinds of like a full coverage pieces just with the excess and the blends threads in them. There are kits with that, there are diamond paintings, and etc. But this design is by Tattoo Stitch. I'm gonna try very first time piece by her. I think she might be like from Taiwan. Yes, she's from Taiwan, and her designs have similarities to Chatelaine, which I also stitched and will be stitching more, because it has a specialty stitches. It has all kinds of sparkles. It has this one will have full X. It will have petite stitches, back stitch. We'll have a couching, and I think that's it. So all those specialty stitches. So this pattern is going to be like a full coverage, but with all the specialty things. Like I said, design is 181 by 244. So about almost 13 by 18 inches would be in a full size. And I did not include here DMC threads, which should be about 52 colors. It's not gonna need it a lot. It should be very, very sparkly. As you can see from all of this, at least bottom portion, it will have 11 Karen water lilies, like you see on top, and they're beautiful silk colors. There is a Karen snow in here, sparkly. I think it's total like 83 symbols. So there's going to be 6 Krynix, number 4, and I'm missing few only. As you know, it's hard to get the Krynic right now, so hopefully by the time I can stitch those areas, I'll get them. There's gonna be 10 Rainbow Gallery Petit Treasure braids um, right here. And also designer gave option to stitch the background, as you can see, those waves or not. And I decided to stitch. So there's a little bit more needed of this for the design, and I got all of them. There's gonna be three thread gather silken colors. You can see also on the top in there, very beautiful, especially that blue one. There's 16 different Miyuki beads, 6 Primero bicones, and I was collecting all those sparkle beads from different locations. There is just a few that are missing also, but I'm not gonna be doing beading until the very end. And I'll show you a little bit later up close all of this, but there's the bicones specialty, there's bugle beads of different variations. So let's see what else, if I'm missing or not. There's a round bead also, twisted bugles. So all of that is going to be here. So I have only a few things that are missing from this. And I'm sure I'll get it eventually, or I'll find some kind of very near substitute. So I just need to sort this all out. Also DMC threads, put in a separate baggies, and tighten the fabric. I have a marked corner where I'm gonna start, and let's start this on this, though rainy Valentine's Day, but it hopefully this piece will bring me some sunshine. And the frame is all tightened up, although I don't know how well the sides are going to be holding, because I barely was able to tighten those screws in there, because I guess I could have tried to cut the longer fabric on the sides, but I did not think of those side tensions. But if that does not work, then I'll just tighten with the regular threads. So the corner there is marked. I put all of the, like you can see, Krynic, sparkles, all the silk threads numbered, and the treasure braids. So they're numbered by the saga, I guess, cross stitch saga patterns that she includes. It's different marking. So this is will be 26 that we're gonna start at the very corner in here, and just gonna go in the blocks. As you can see, the waves, that should not be a lot of work, but all of these are put except DMC and the beads. And look at that color choice. You can see a lot of cards in here, but this is where I'm about to start, and pull out the one thread of treasure braid and kick off. Finally, after so much waiting and planning and gathering all the supplies, I can start. And I reached 300 stitches, and this is already 3 colors. So actually a couple stitches below this square is gonna be a half point, so pretty much half of the top portion should fit. So after I did the one with like a all black in here with some gold, I decided to go and do the singles instead of later trying to go underneath, and these little drag marks behind will be covered with the other stitches. But this is like a snowflakes falling, and can you tell that there is 3 colors in this area? So there's one pure gold with a yellowish, so would be like these. Then this is like a gold with a black, and this is black with tiny bit of a gold, so that's kind of sprinkled all throughout. And when you really look it up, you can see there's one single stitch in here that's different than surroundings. So very excited that I was able to go all the way down to the half point in here, and how sparkly it is. I can't believe how it's gonna be all of that pretty much stitched on the sides with different color sparkly threads, and in the daytime, I think in the sunshine, it's gonna be blasty gold shine and darkness included. So I'm gonna continue stitching, but I just wanted to show you what it looks like, all those sprinkles. And interesting would be to know, find out if a lot of you also, when you're stitching, would you choose the same method, just go with the smaller amounts and sprinkle throughout, and that way I will not have to count like, oh, this is like a 12 or 13 same, and then we'd be making space and again stitching, and just filling in with the bigger amounts without worrying, just going here. So do you also stitch the same way or not? I would be interested to find out. And stitched for a couple of days and decided that would be plenty enough. And what you see is about over 2100 stitches, because it's about what, 4 colors I think of a rainbow gallery sparkly threads. So hopefully you can see how sparkly it is when I move the light a little bit back and forth. But just going in spots, I decided that it would be a good idea to stitch those like a snowflakes, golden ones, all throughout, and just start filling in. And then, of course, I was doing all around the border 1 extra row. So just needed to make sure that I don't forget that and just suddenly like go of counting, one less than I needed to. So everything is stitched with one thread. It looks like when you look up close, of course, a bit like a sparse. You can see slightly fabric, but I think it also gives a special this kind of flowy look. And I'm so far happy. Over 3% already is done. And I put in little thread where the middle is, and the guy's head is going to start like somewhere right here. So this, I want to make sure that I calculated at least for the width in a fabric, and it looks like it is for framing. And I'll probably will continue. That's going to be easiest part, to fill in those outer edges, and then all the big hard work is going to be inside. And I'm debating to just fill in outside and then concentrate on middle, all the beauty, or just do little by little. So I'm curious what you guys would do. Would you fill in background and then start on most interesting part or not? Let me know in the comments below about this piece, but it's gonna be set aside for now, and I don't know when I'm gonna pull it out, but hopefully not gonna be here later, but sooner, because it's such a beautiful piece. I can't wait to see how it grows. And I'm coming back to my winter frolic. So after stitching all of the back stitching, which was a lot in the different colors, and just gonna be some more poking in here, but I figured since it's gonna continue down, I can roll up at least to half point or something in here, and then I'll start working on the bottom portion. But right now I have almost 60% done, so that's very exciting. So I just want to continue since it's still technically winter month, although we're having mid 60s temperatures outdoors, and the only like a biggest snow piles left to melt out. But since it's still winter month, I figured I should continue stitching on this. So I'm gonna roll this down, and all this top, those 2 birds are gonna be hiding probably then, and then I'll start working on that. A few more days, I would imagine, at least this month or so. We'll see how it goes, because there's another new start I'm planning to do tomorrow. And you'll see what I picked for that when the time comes. But right now, this is what I want to work on. Jurgita. And today I want to tell you a Happy New Year if you're celebrating Asian calendar. It's February 17, 2026. So it's gonna last almost full year until I believe February 5th of 27, and the year will be of a horse, a fire horse. But I did not have anything with like a fiery horse all in flames. So I want to start today to celebrate that New Year with this Riolis kit. They usually don't tell the name of the pattern, but this one was made in 2014. So I'm gonna unpack this, and also today is what we call it in Lithuania, at least, Shrove Tuesday. It's a tradition comes from ancient pagan traditions where there is like a celebration of starting spring. You burn more, which is like a stuffed scarecrow, which represents the winter. So there's pancakes making involved, being merry and visiting neighbors and dancing and music and all kinds of things. Of course, here in America, unless it's your own household, you won't see these kind of things. But if you're interested, you can check those celebrations online. There's all kinds of different videos about it. So there's a two celebrations happening today, and I'm gonna be celebrating both. At least I'll be making pancakes, and the weather is gonna be very warm, practically in a t-shirt walking in the middle of America. So of US, and I'm gonna be just starting this horse that I held on. There's also Andalusian, I think, horse, like a white horse that faces the other way. Also, I don't have that one right now, but perhaps in the future I'll stitch. So this one, it says finishing size right here, if you're looking at the inches or centimeters, and it has a color chart, 14 count black Zweigart Ada fabric, anchor threads, 19 colors, and the needle. And it was created by Alina Melentieva. Um, right now, Riolis moved for European and worldwide sales to Lithuania. It used to be in Russia. So let's see what it looks like in the back. And we're gonna open this up, and I'll pause it to not make a bunch of crinkling noises for you, and we'll be back in a second. So I opened the pack. So there's a one-sided, just a picture of that. It includes instructions. There's in several languages: Russian, English, German, French, Spanish, and Italian. And the pattern, like they said, it's colorful. You can see there's a little bit of the back stitching is gonna be in here, very little. And instructions how to stitch like this, how to understand, because Riolis has slightly different explanations how they mark their pattern. Like there's going to be some blends in here, and those instructions are marked in here, like 2-3 strands, 1 strand. There's gonna be and what each sign means, A, B, C, and D. So all those explanations in here. So I think I'm gonna now look at the threads. So you can see those are anchor threads. I have some that I bought in like bobbins rolls from a store when like Joann's was closing. So I got some of those threads, and I did not stitch a lot of anchors, so it's going to be interesting again to remember how it feels. They still have those slits here to stop the thread, so you can unwind as much as you want and cut it. So there's one list and another with the lighter colors. Also quite a bit of a thread in here, and arrows pointing down which number is which, because they don't have numbered like this is 331 or something like this. It's just like this. And the black Ada fabric, very black. I think I'm gonna wash it first and maybe throw in a dryer even to see if it shrinks a little bit. So it's a good size fabric, and the needle is in one needle in the very middle in here. So I think I'm gonna wash the fabric, finish the edges because they're not finished in here. So I'm gonna make sure it's nice and straight lines, and then I'm gonna start stitching, and we'll come back to you with the first stitches. So let's wait a second for you, and I'll be back with some progress. And here we have 2 days of worth of stitching. And I think after this, I'm gonna roll up so I can go all the way to the top and then start fully stitching. But this time I just wanted to go straight from the very middle and slowly go up. And here I used the two pure colors, and this blue is just blends of two colors, and actually two threads of one color and one thread of another. And this is pretty much where the like a nose of the horse is, and his mane is falling like here. I think the eye is supposed to be somewhere like here. So what I've done, it's just under 10%. So 9% or something is already done in those 2 days. And of course, because I was just picking the majority of stitches that had one color, this way I was trying not to mark the fabric. And actually, I washed the fabric. I put like in the hot water, and then I threw it in a dryer. And after that, I pulled out and remeasured, and the fabric shrank about a half inches in both sides, which I'm glad that it did approximately evenly shrinking versus like one side shrinks more than other. That way, the squares would look weird extended in one way. But I think I'm gonna stop for now. I think I've done enough. I'll try to go all the way to the top. It's not much, about like maybe this much more left to uncover on the top, and at least I know from a side to side it should be enough fabric. I was trying to measure several times, make sure that this is thinner in the width versus in the height. So I think it's a pretty good start, and we'll see how it continues to grow over the time. So I was thinking what to work on next, and decided to continue with my winter frolic. And right now I have just over 67% done and about 5,000 stitches left to do. And that includes all excess quarter, three-quarter stitches, and of course lots and lots of back stitching. You can kind of see the outline of a hair like running. There's a pause. So I've been just going with the biggest stitch count in one color, and just been going throughout just to see how far I could go, and it would be easier for me to then fill in with a smaller amount of stitches. So we'll see how much I'll able to sit with this, although I'm gonna have a very short amount of time for stitching for like a week, but we'll see. And I know it's white is very hard to see on a light color fabric, but hopefully you can tell maybe at the angle a bit better. So hopefully it will look much better in like a second that you'll have for blinking. So after days of stitching, I actually managed to finish the whole thing. Let's bring the light back. It's late on the 24th, and I just finished all my outlining backstitching, which was in this bottom portion about 1,000 cross stitch if you convert, and that was out of six different colors, symbols, and one of them had actually a blend. So this one that it looks like a little bit stronger in the color, light color, that actually is two threads, so it's a blend for to make a back stitching. But it's all done, and I'm about to unroll it to join the scenery with the top birds, and of course there's the whole hair was outlined, and there's several colors that's so similar. This lightweight, like a 700, was it 62 or something like that, with another number that when I was stitching, it was actually very hard to see the difference in the shading, but overall here is what it looks like, and I just filled in right here to remember what year I've stitched. So it's all done, and way ahead of time than I was planning to finish this project, but once I picked it up and just kept going, because it was still winter season feeling, and even though it's just jumping temperatures sometimes by 20 degrees up and down, but I thought maybe if I finish this one, maybe winter will normalize and either be like a normal winter, or start get the way to the spring. But I love it, this whole antiqueness, and of course you're seeing slightly with the overhead lights, a little bit needed to outline from previous time in here. And like I said, the two colors blend in this one, and just all those, I think those are acorns, at least by the oak, looks like oak leaves in here. So I kind of figured out it's acorns. If I'm not correct, please correct me if you know your plants. And now I can actually unroll this whole thing and see what it looks like. But it's one of the bigger projects that I wanted to finish in this year. And it's very exciting to see from barely anything to the whole thing. So let's look at the whole thing in a second when I unroll it. And here is the whole piece. I took off my frame. So I looked at my records for this piece in 2024, actually on the same day as I finished, exactly 2 years later. I worked for 2 days. In 25, I worked for 4 days on this, and then 13 days was in this year, in 2 months. So, yeah, I did in 26, about 11,000, almost 500 to finish off. So in total, I got 19 days for to work on this piece. It took me exactly a full 2 years to do. So that's what at least Saga was showing with all the back stitching and half stitches, quarter stitches, and full crosses. I got about 15,103 cross stitch stitches calculated, and here is the final result. So, yep, I could have done it all within 1 month, and it took me 2 full years. Although that's not the worst that I've had for my pieces when it's a small project, and it took me a very, very long time to do because I was not in a hurry. And plus, some of those small pieces are good for me to take when I don't have a capability to bring big framed pieces and the big stitch frames. So it's something smaller that I could drag around. So they usually are set aside for me for certain trips. So here it is. And this that used to be like a DMC satin is actually just take a first few numbers of DMC satin. So I think it's 503 as the regular DMC of the same name of the color at least. And I have not washed this or ironed this, so it's straight from the frame as is. And it's very exciting to have it finally done and within month of February. And yeah, when I looked to put in of start finish date compared to start date, I saw it was exactly on February 24th, both of them. So that was kind of cute little surprise for myself too. So what do you think? Do you like this like antique look? Very, at least I think it's a very classical look that should not disappear throughout the ages. And I can set it aside for the next winter starts framing. So that's my winter frolic from 1994, Stony Creek Collections magazine. And since I had other piece finished, the next day I was going to stitch a group and decided to bring this. It's called Tucson Shades of Marble by Julia Punti Antici. I'm stitching this on 36 count antique white Enderberg linen. And all of the pieces supposed to fit on this fat quarter. As you can see, I'm already marked all the parts where I'll have to cut. And I'll put in a picture where I started this piece, which I think it's a needle case, and just worked through that whole day and finished up the rest of the bottom because I just finished a couple leaves in here. And this blue line, pretty much all specialty stitches are being stitched with one thread, and all of those threads are weeks dye works. So these blue lines are herringbone stitch, where it's you have like a regular X, but one leg is always going over two X's versus over one. So one short leg, one long, one short, one long. And that is how it's looking. And just simple regular X's were done. And as you can see, there's kind of like pattern in here, mosaic looking. And this one, like a was that three colors interchanging is the same as we have this long border that I started the whole thing in 2024. So it's repeating in here. And for this also, but in bigger size here. So like these specialty stitches are connecting with this piece this way. And I had to put before my initials in here upside down because the book will be folded, so it will be all fine. So another part is done on this whole collection, and I'm so happy that I finished this piece. I stayed up late into the night to finish off all the way to the bottom, and it's very exciting to have another big chunk of the whole project done. So there's going to be one for a full bottom will be empty. Then we'll have one same size for the top where it's going to be majority of the stitching done. And we have a few more pieces here to stitch besides the very top of the box. So there's still more to go, but this part is all done, and I guess I could consider that as a finish also, because each part is like a finish. Because this will be made into separate thing. So very excited that I got another slice done, and I might continue taking this to my stitching groups to continue stitching, because it's as you can see, I have a hoop in here that I take, so it's worked on a small area, and it's not like a giant frames that I have some other bigger pieces on, so it's compact, and I have all the threads for a whole project parts in one place, so it's very travel size for me. So I might continue to do that, possibly. We'll see, but that's what I finished yesterday, and today I can grab something else. So let's go and see what will be next. And since it's the end of the month and I have only a couple days left, so I'm gonna try to work on my usually end of the month project, my biggest project, and it's the Girl Ghost that I'm stitching on a 25 count Lucas fabric. As you can see, those with the yellow lines gridded, pre-gridded. And I have right now 48%. 48.2% done. So let's see where I'm gonna be working. And here is the main girl's waist right here, and you see all those flowing folds of the fabric, so that's where it is. And here you see like a ghost girl's hair flowing like it would be in here, but in a way bigger scale and less sharp. So a lot of the blue colors I think is gonna be showing up right now there, as you can see. So this right here is this part. So I'm just gonna go within my frame area and slowly work from left to right, filling in, and I'm stitching with DMC threads and doing half stitch, continental stitch throughout the whole piece. So wish me luck. We'll see where I get at the end of the month, which I said has only a couple days left. So I'm eager to put in even 100 stitches would be great for me, because I wanna move this project forward each month if it's possible, so it would not sit still and move forward. So here where it is, and we'll meet again in a few days. And I did some, although not as much, of course, as in the first month, but I also did have only a few days to stitch. And this is the result. So as you see, there's lots of empty spaces still left, but I was just going until I kind of finish off the thread and just kept going up in it. This way for me, it would be easier, I think, to figure out like where I need to stitch later on, like by this or by that stitch and so on. But I love how the flow and translucency kind of starts shaping up in here and slowly filling up this area too. So just very slowly moving to the right, and as you see, more blue colors were popping out in here. So that's the end of month of February of 2026. And to sum up the whole month, I worked only on the 8 pieces, and 3 of them were new starts, and I also finished 2 pieces. So that's, I think, pretty good. And one of them, my winter frolic, was not expected for this month, but I'm so excited that my yearly plan is finished for that project. So out of 8, I think 2 is pretty good. And as always, my beginning and end of the month big, huge projects are going along so far. So fingers crossed it will continue throughout the year. And I don't know what the next month will bring, but um, the weather is gonna be getting even more nicer, so I might be outdoors more than in here, and we'll see how slowly I'll be able to stitch, or perhaps when I pick it up, I'm gonna go like a twister and get it all done a lot in a short period of time. So we'll see. But I hope you enjoyed watching this and the rest of the progress from my stitches. And I hope we'll see you again in the next month. And until then, this was Jurgita saying bye-bye.